Get ready to journey back to the Golden Age of RTS games. A time when 6 legendary titles redefined the genre and set the stage for everything that followed. From sand-scorched deserts to sprawling bases, these games didn't just entertain, they shaped the very essence of what real-time strategy is today.
Let me remind you, we are here to fight for the Duke. For the Duke!
Let's kick things off with Dune 2000. A game that wasn't just a follow-up, but a bold reimagining of the classic 1992 strategy title Dune 2. Released in 1998, Dune 2000 was one of the first RTS games to adopt full motion video cutscenes, giving it a cinematic feel that was ahead of its time. What's even cooler? The game's distinct desert setting wasn't just about aesthetics. It heavily influenced gameplay. Resources were scarce, making each decision feel high stakes. The real gem here for RTS lovers is the game's asymmetric factions, with each house bringing its unique strengths and strategies. Whether you were collecting spice or fighting off rival factions, Dune 2000 proved that RTS could be as much about managing resources as it was about tactical warfare.
Your name.
What do you want?
At your name. Your name.
Moving on to Warcraft 2, the game that solidified Blizzard's place in RTS history. Released in 1995, Warcraft 2 was a step up from its predecessor in every way. But here's the kicker. Warcraft 2 was one of the first games to feature network play, allowing players to battle it out over LAN or dial-up internet. It was a revolutionary moment for online multiplayer, but it didn't stop there. Warcraft 2 introduced a simplified yet addictive gameplay loop that allowed players to get lost in resource gathering, base building, and all-out warfare. RTS lovers also fell in love with the game's tight balance between the orcs and humans. Each side had unique units and abilities, creating an engaging strategic dance where every battle felt fresh and full of possibilities. Command & Conquer Red Alert, one of the most iconic RTS titles ever. Released in 1996, it took the Command & Conquer series in a bold new direction with its Cold War setting, where you could play as the Allies or Soviets, each with its own unique playstyle. But what's most fascinating about Red Alert is the blend of real-time strategy with the narrative. It had a full, over-the-top, alternate history storyline featuring the unforgettable Commander Tanya. And here's a fun fact for RTS enthusiasts. Red Alert introduced the world to Tesla coils, that infamous electric defense unit that shocked your enemies, literally. Plus, its multiplayer was groundbreaking, setting the stage for competitive RTS gaming in the years that followed. Let's talk about StarCraft Brood War, an expansion that turned an already legendary game into something even more groundbreaking. Released in 1998, Brood War didn't just add new units and campaigns. It completely redefined balance in RTS. Each faction, the Zerg, Terrans, and Protoss, became more finely tuned, leading to some of the most intense and competitive multiplayer matches in RTS history. Fun fact for fans: Brood War introduced the concept of counter units in a big way. Every unit had a hard counter, forcing players to constantly adapt their strategies. And let's not forget the incredible story. It picked up right where StarCraft left off, with jaw-dropping twists and turns that made us care about the units we commanded like never before. Brood War wasn't just a game. It was a revolution in competitive RTS.
Holmes. Rogan?
Age of Empires. A title that brought history to life and changed the way we thought about RTS games. Released in 1997, it was one of the first to blend traditional strategy with historical storytelling. It
It's not just the game mechanics that make it a classic. It's the way it introduced players to the ancient world, from building cities to advancing through the ages. But here's a cool fact for RTS lovers. Age of Empires featured one of the first tech trees, a progression system that forced you to make tough decisions about how to evolve your civilization. Should you invest in advanced technologies or focus on military might? The real genius of Age of Empires was how it taught players that RTS could be as much about long-term planning as it was about combat. The AoE series would go on to shape countless RTS games after it. Finally, we have Total Annihilation, a game that raised the bar for scale and ambition in RTS. Released in 1997, it was one of the first RTS games to feature fully 3D terrain, making its large-scale battles feel like something out of a sci-fi epic. What made Total Annihilation stand out for RTS lovers was its commitment to sheer scale. Players could command hundreds of units at once, from massive tanks to flying bombers, with battles that sprawled across entire maps. And here's something you might not know. Total Annihilation was one of the first RTS games to introduce the concept of resource decay, where the longer you took to harvest resources, the less efficient they became. This added a whole new layer of strategy to an already complex game. Its multiplayer, with its seamless unit commands and massive battles, made it one of the most beloved RTS titles among the hardcore community.
And there you have it. 6 RTS legends that didn't just define the 90s, but set the gold standard for strategy games forever. The Golden Age of RTS wasn't just about great games. It built a community that's still going strong today. But now, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite 90s RTS? Drop your pick in the comments and let's keep the strategy talk going.